Now, things are certainly going to be different for the Toronto Maple Leafs heading into the 2025-2026 season. This is the first time in 10 years where Mitch Marner is not going to be playing for them during the season. Now, that's kind of wild to think about, but Mitch Marner did play 9 seasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This would have been his 10th, but he decided to take his talents elsewhere. He's going to be joining the Vegas Golden Knights, so this Toronto team is going to be very different from teams we've seen before. And as much as Toronto fans hate to admit it, their team is not going to be as good this season. You have to accept the fact that your team is not going to be as good without Mitch Marner. I don't care what replacements you brought in, what moves you made over the offseason. This team on day number 1 of the regular season is not as good as Game 7 when you lost to the Florida Panthers. That is a fact. I will not argue about this. Losing Mitch Marner is definitely going to hurt your team. However, it's not the end of the world because Stick on the Ice is taking over as GM. I'm going to be the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs for the next 10 seasons, and I'm going to get this team a Stanley Cup. Now, in order to get ready for this rebuild, I have to wear some Toronto gear. So I have the Toronto Maple Leaf jersey on. I have the Toronto Blue Jays hat on. I am all Toronto right now. I am going to help this franchise see something that they haven't seen in a very long time, and that's success. Postseason success for the Toronto Maple Leafs is about to be seen. All this team has been needing over the past handful of years is Stick on the Ice to take over as GM, and now that that's happened, this team is going to see a lot of success. Now, the first moves we're going to make here are going to be extensions. Matias Maccelli, 2.9 for the next 3 years. I think that's a no-brainer. And then the other deal that's going to be an absolute steal, that's going to be Bobby McMann. He's looking for $2.4 million. I would like to do multiple years, and how about 2.5 for the next 2 years? I think that's a great deal for Bobby McMann. Now, it turns out we're actually going to make one big move here. Connor McMichael, I think you would be an elite second line centerman for us. I don't know how we're going to be able to re-sign you to the team. Like, I don't know what cap space we're going to use, but we're going to find a way to get it done. So hopefully this package right here is going to be enough for Connor McMichael. They're going to be rejecting it. How about I throw in a 7th round pick? Like, trade value wise, I actually think we're pretty close, so a 7th round pick might make the difference, and it looks like it will. Connor McMichael, welcome to the team. That might have been the missing piece for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then when it comes to a Connor McMichael extension, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that quite yet, so we're going to hold off for now. Luckily, we do own his RFA rights, so worst case Ontario, we just qualify him as an RFA and trade him away. So here's what I'm thinking for season number 1. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Matthew Nyes on the top line, John Tavares, Connor McMichael, and Nick Waugh on the second line. I have a feeling Nick Waugh is going to see some crazy development. He's going to get up to like an 86, 87 overall, and then we're going to trade him next season when his trade value is at its highest. At least that's the plan with Nick Waugh. When it comes to the defense, this is what we're looking at. I think we have a pretty solid defensive core, and then when it comes to goaltending, 285s, I can definitely work with that. So let's get ready for season number 1 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. What is this team going to accomplish over the next 10 years? Well, now that I'm GM, I can see a couple Stanley Cups in our future. But while we simulate season number 1, if you think the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't as good without Mitch Marner on the team, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. So that basically means that every person watching this video should be subscribed to the channel, because they're certainly not going to be the same without him. Alright, so just like that, I am the greatest GM in Toronto Maple Leafs history, first in the entire league, a 46-13-4 record. It's the trade deadline. We have 96 points. So the boys are dominating right now. Austin Matthews, 84 points, 55 goals, 29 assists for 84 points. William Nylander, 75. John Tavares, 66. Connor McMichael is almost a point a game. The entire team looks amazing right now. So I don't really want to make any trades. We have 2 amazing goaltenders that are both looking fantastic. I don't even care who's in net for the postseason. I feel like if I make a trade here, I'm just going to mess things up. Granted, I feel like as long as we don't touch the top 6, we'll be perfectly fine. Upgrading the third line probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but outside of a small upgrade for the bottom 6, I don't really want to do anything. So here's what I think I'm going to do with our one deal. It's going to be 2 healthy scratches sent over to the Seattle Kraken. We bring in Tolvanen. I think he can be a really good bottom 6 sniper for us. He can play alongside Matias Maccelli, and I think that's what Maccelli's missing on the bottom 6 right now. He needs a sniper to feed, and that's what Tolvanen's going to be for us. Alright, so maybe I should have gave Connor McMichael $5 million earlier, because now he's looking for 8.3. Might have made a mistake there, but you know what? We'll figure it out later. So the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to finish off the season as the President's Trophy winners, first in the entire league, a 58-18-6 record. But there's one thing that we have to realize. This team has always been perfectly fine during the regular season. They never struggle during the regular season. But this is when they struggle, the postseason. That's going to be coming up. Stolars, Joseph Wall, both of you guys have been amazing this season. I don't care who's the starter. I actually don't even know who's the starter right now. We're taking on the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. Y'all better not go out like this. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to remember, this isn't the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. This is the stick on the ice Maple Leafs. And when the stick on the ice Maple Leafs show up, they dominate. Okay, the stick on the ice Maple Leafs might not have been here in game 1. They were in game 2 though. In the games in which Toronto wins, that's the stick on the ice Maple Leafs. When they lose, that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. So right now, the stick on the ice Maple Leafs are absolutely dominating. Can they win game number 5 and move on to the second round? No, they can't. They're going to be allowing 6 goals. I need y'all to wake up here. We're not going out in the first round to the Buffalo Sabres. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We're taking down Buffalo, moving on to the second round, and I have a feeling we're going to see the Florida Panthers. Maybe not. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning instead. The Florida Panthers might be frauds now, but if Tampa Bay's beating Florida, we can't sleep on these boys. They're going to put up a competitive fight, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. We're down 3-1. Like, at the end of the day, if the Tampa Bay Lightning are beating the Florida Panthers, you know that team is legit. So game number 5 is the most important game. Can we steal this one away and stay alive in this series? Well, we're down 1-0 entering the third period. Where's the offense? Joseph Woll, you've looked really good so far. Can somebody score a goal for my team? Apparently not. We're losing 2-0. With the amount of amazing offense, we didn't have anyone find the back of the net in this elimination game. Nah, y'all are frauds. So after taking down the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to win the Stanley Cup, beating the Utah Mammoth in the Cup final. That should have been the Toronto Maple Leafs. That actually should have been the stick on the ice Maple Leafs. Matthew Knies, you picked up 20 penalty minutes and 8 points. How about you pick up 20 points and only 8 penalty minutes next time? I think that could help the team. When it comes to goaltending, Joseph Woll, you posted a 910 and a 320. Those aren't the numbers I'm looking for, plain and simple. So year number 1 is going to go as expected for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're going to lose in the second round. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Also, Minnesota's getting the first overall pick. That's very interesting considering they just gave Kirill Kaprizov $17 million. Granted, I don't think in the game he has signed his extension quite yet, so he is going to be available in free agency. Now, before we get to the draft, with the salary cap going up, we are going to be able to pay Connor McMichael and keep him on the team. We're looking at $7.2 million for the next 4 seasons, 50% trade protection. Yes, we could have gotten a $5 million deal done earlier, but it was only for 2 seasons, so I'm perfectly fine paying him 7.2 if we're going to be getting 4 years. Also, that's not going to be the only extension we hand out. Tolvanen, here's 3.75 for the next 3 years. I really liked your role in the bottom 6, so I want to keep you around. Now, this wouldn't be a stick on the ice video if we didn't see a low elite potential player. I do want to point out he is a 49 overall, and bro only played 3 games last season, so he is 1000% not developing. Now we have $4.4 million remaining, but I don't think we're going to be using any of that money right now. Actually, I take that back. Scott Lawton, I can keep you on the team for $1.8 million. You're a really good 4th line player, and at that price tag, I'm not going to complain. When it comes to everyone else, it's 2-way contracts or you leave the team. So year number 1 wasn't as successful as I was hoping. I was thinking we were going to win a Stanley Cup. That is not going to be the case. However, we are going to be bouncing back. And how are we doing that? Well, signing Brandon Carlo to the greatest deal of all time. He's going to be sticking around. We're looking at $5 million, and I'll up that to 50% trade protection. He's going to be sticking around as one of our top defensemen. We got to pay him that bag. Meanwhile, Nick Waugh, I was hoping you'd be up to an 87 overall. That's not going to be the case. You're only looking for $3.6 million, and I'm not 100% sure if I should do that. I'm going to take a quick look at what your trade value is, but $3.6 million is not terrible. Now, over the offseason, I think we're only making 1 move, and I just want to point out, at no point did I ever say this was realistic. So Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Dakota Joshua, and then probably a 3rd round pick. I don't think we're going to be able to get this done with just these 2 players. For Caden Gooley and Zachary Bolduc, because as of right now, Oliver Ekman-Larsson has more trade value than Caden Gooley. Does any of that make sense? Absolutely not. But here's a 3rd round pick thrown into this deal. They want a little bit more, which is going to be the lucrative 7th rounder. So we're going to be walking away with a great defenseman on an amazing contract, an amazing young player. We're getting rid of the Dakota Joshua contract, which we really don't want considering he's an 81 overall. Zachary Bolduc, you can play bottom 6 minutes for me. We fleeced Montreal. Now, after the success we saw last season, I'm hoping we can build on that. The top 6 is going to be staying the exact same. The 3rd line's getting an improvement with Zachary Bolduc. I don't think there's anything that can really stop this team other than ourselves, because we can definitely stop us from seeing success. The Toronto Maple Leafs always let themselves down. It's not like other teams are beating the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are just beating themselves. So season number 2 is going to be a big one coming up. Can this team step up in the most important games? I'm not too worried about what happens during the regular season because I know we're going to dominate here. The playoffs are where I have questions. Now, it's unfortunate to say, but the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't looking quite as hot right now. 5th in the entire league, a 37-19-4 record. Now, that record might sound amazing. We're currently in a wild card spot. 5th in the entire league is a wildcard spot. The Boston Bruins are also in a wildcard spot, being 7th in the entire league. Yeah, the Atlantic Division is kind of loaded right now. Austin Matthews Matthews, 69 points so far, 35 goals, 34 assists. William Nylander, 62 points. Connor McMichael, 56. John Tavares, 55. Nick Waugh, you're doing your thing. I would like to see a little bit more from you, but I can't really complain too much. You're also an 87 overall. I'm going to look at trading you. I think it might make sense to trade Nick Waugh away. I didn't give him an extension, so he's on the final year of his deal. He's now going to be looking for a ton of money. I think moving on from Nick Waugh is probably the best thing we can do. Joseph Woll, you're doing your thing. 20 wins, 2 shots, a 916 to 260. Meanwhile, Stolars, I need you to be better than this. I don't know what's going on this season, but you have not been that guy. So here's what I'm thinking. Nick Waugh and Bobby McMann both sent over to the Buffalo Sabres. We bring in Alex Tuch. I think Alex Tuch could be a really good second line player for us. He'd be a good power forward, which we need, and I know this guy can show up in the postseason. So Nick Waugh and Bobby McMann is definitely going to be enough, but is this trade going to be enough to be the difference for our team moving forward? Well, hopefully it is, because that's the reason I'm making this deal. So after the trade deadline, the Toronto Maple Leafs have been one of the best teams in the entire league. However, we're going to have a very tough first round matchup. We're going against the reigning Stanley Cup champions in the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Atlantic Division's really loaded, so even with 51 wins, we're not going to be first. The Florida Panthers will be. Matthews, 91 points, 44 goals, 47 assists. William Nylander, 84 points. John Tavares, 80 points. Connor McMichael, 80 points. McMichael by far has been the best pickup we've made so far in this video. An 89 overall medium league potential. What an acquisition that was. Joseph Woll, Stolars, both of you guys have done your thing this season, but obviously Joseph Woll has got to be the number one heading into the postseason. Stolars just hasn't been good enough. As we all know, we're taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. It's time for us to get back. It's revenge season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They want to get back against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa took them down the second round last season. That's not going to happen this time because Toronto's going to be taking them down in the first round. Game number 1 looked amazing. Game number 2, not so much. So game 3 is going to be an important one. Who's going to be taking the lead in this series? It looks like it's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. Can we win game 4 as well? Yes, we can. We have a commanding 3-1 series lead, but that means nothing until you win the 4th game. You have to win the 4th game, and that's what Toronto's going to be doing. But with this win, things are not going to get any easier. I fully expect us to see the Florida Panthers, but I guess that's not going to be the case. We have the Boston Bruins instead. Now, although Boston was a wild card team, they were still a very good team. So we can't be sleeping on the Boston Bruins whatsoever. They're going to put some pressure on us, but maybe not. We are dominating through the first 4 games, a sweep over the Boston Bruins, and we've made it to the conference finals. We have made it to the conference finals in year number 2, but can we cap it all off? How on earth did the New York Islanders rebuild so fast? You know what? We're not going to question it. We just need to beat this Islanders team, and that's exactly what we're doing. Back-to-back sweeps. We're in the Stanley Cup final. We've won a ton of games in a row. We're not looking to slow down anytime soon. We have our toughest matchup coming up, though. It's Connor McDavid. It's Leon Draisaitl. We have the Edmonton Oilers in front of us. Can we find a way to win 4 more games? We don't need to sweep the Edmonton Oilers, but I definitely wouldn't be against sweeping this team. And are we going to be doing that? It doesn't look like it, but we have a 3-1 series lead. 1 more game gives us the Stanley Cup, and it looks like we're going to get that. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Stanley Cup champs in year number 2. Look what happens when Stick on the Ice takes over as GM. You get results. In just season number 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be Stanley Cup champions. John Tavares, 28 points. William Nylander, 26. Matthew Knies, 26. Austin Matthews, 24 points. 11 goals, 13 assists. Alex Tuch, he was the big acquisition. 23 points. Connor McMichael, 22. Look at my man, Zachary Bolduc, St. Louis Blues legend, even though he wasn't with the team for too long. 9 goals and 9 assists for 18 points in the postseason. Morgan Riley's picking up 18 points. From top to bottom, everyone performed on this team, and that includes Joseph Woll. 15 wins, 1 shot, a 928 and a 218. The Toronto Maple Leafs are seeing early success in this video, but we're not quite done yet. We have another 8 seasons to go. Also, we're not going to worry about the draft. Absolutely nothing is happening there. We only had 2 picks to work with, and with those 2 picks, we got a whole lot of nothing. Now, when it comes to the re-sign phase, I can't see us doing too much here. All 3 of these players that actually played NHL minutes are going to be walking. When it comes to everyone else, it's 2-way contracts or you leave the team. Now, right now, we have $11 million in cap space, and that's great, but we might only be able to sign players to 1-year deals depending on what the Austin Matthews extension looks like. 14.9 is not crazy, so I guess Matthews will be returning to the team. Can we do 13.5? Just keep your contract the exact same as what it is right now. I think there's a very good possibility of that. Well, technically he's getting paid 13.25 right now. We're upping him $250K. I can live with that. Max Domi, there's a very good chance that you're going to be leaving the team. Zachary Bolduc, though, I don't want you leaving the team. I want to keep you here. So $3 million for the next 2, I think it makes sense for us. Now, when it comes to goaltending, we have to decide on who's going to be the guy moving forward. Is it going to be Joseph Woll or is it going to be Stolarz? Joseph Woll was the guy for us last season. Stolarz is a handful of years older, so I think we should just go with Joseph Woll and keep things simple. So how about we do $6 million and then I up that modify no trade? What if we did a 6x6 with 50% team protection? I'll actually up that to 75% just to make sure you join the team. Joseph Woll, welcome back. Now when it comes to Stolarz, I'm going to keep it a $150. There's no point in us having 2 goaltenders on this team, so we're going to be trading him away. So Stolarz, I want to thank you for the seasons you were here. You were a great player for us, but I just don't want to be paying 2 goaltenders big money. So you're going to be sent over along with a 3rd round pick. Jet Greaves, the stick on the ice legend's being brought in as an 82 overall. He's going to be a great backup. And then Del Belbeuz is also going to be brought in. $1 million. He's an 80 overall. I just need him to play some good bottom 6 minutes for me, and I know he can do that. Now when it comes to moves we're making in free agency, we don't have to do too much. Tyler Tucker, I'm going to bring you in to play some 3rd pairing minutes for me. Yes, you're only a 79 overall, but you're a good defensive defenseman. I know you can play your role. When it comes to the other basically $13 million we have, who is willing to sign a 1-year deal that we can afford? We can't afford Kucherov, which is an absolute shame, but is there anyone else willing to sign a 1-year deal? Anze Kopitar. Bro has not yet retired in the game, so we are going to give him $6.5 million. He's going to be joining the team, and he's going to play some good bottom 6 minutes for me. Now, if we really have Kopitar in our bottom 6, I don't know who's going to stop us. And then you know what? We're not done there either. Anders Lee, here's $4 million for 1 season. I don't know where you're going to play on the bottom 6, but you're going to join the team. Also, we could use a handful of contracts on the team because we basically have nothing. So Bryson, I'll bring you to the team for $900K. I'm just going to sign a ton of players to 2-way contracts. All right. We might be in trouble. Joseph Woll is going to be rejecting what I just gave him. There is a very good chance he wants about $18 bazillion now. We could be in a lot of trouble. He's not interested in extending with the team. What's he looking for? Okay, $7 million. Okay, we're still good here. So Joseph Woll, how about I don't get as greedy? $6.5 million, 36% team protection. I know you're going to be willing to accept that. If you don't accept that, then I'll just give you exactly what you're looking for. But I feel like we should be able to save a little bit of money, and that's what we're going to be doing. Now, this season is going to be very important for the Toronto Maple Leafs because the fall-off might be coming. John Tavares has dropped to an 87 overall. That's important to note. A handful of these guys won't be here next season. Kopitar is going to be gone. Domi's going to be gone. Anders Lee is going to be gone. And then when it comes to the defense, Jake McCabe has dropped to an 83 overall. We're probably going to trade him away next season. Chris Tanev has dropped to an 83 overall. We still have him for 2 more seasons after this one, and he has no movement, so we're likely not getting rid of him. So if I'm being completely honest, I think we have to go back-to-back here, because if we don't go back-to-back, I think we're going to go on a 2 or 3 season drought without winning a Stanley Cup, because we're going to have to do a quick retool of this team. There's just too many guys that are starting to regress on me. I just don't think this team will be the same. However, we still have Joseph Woll. We still have Brandon Carlo. We have the legend in Jet Greaves backing us up, so I don't see why we can't win again this season. Alright, we're not making any adjustments to this Toronto Maple Leafs team. We are flying right now. A 45-14-5 record. 4.11 goals per game. That's the best in the NHL, and it's the best in the NHL by a significant margin. When it comes to our defense, it's not going to be the best in the entire league, but the second best. Granted, we have played more games than the Islanders. We've played 2 more games than the Islanders. Technically, goals per game wise, they are still better than us, and that should stay consistent even though we've played more games, but that's neither here nor there. William Nylander has 100 points so far. This man is locked in. Matthews, 92 points. Matthew Nyes, 53 points, 17 goals, 36 assists. The top line is dominating. The second line, it's kind of mid right now, but we're not going to worry about that. This team is flying. From top to bottom, we're looking amazing. Joseph Woll is earning his contract. Let's go back to back and get another Stanley Cup. Alright, this season was all about William Nylander. He was so incredible from the beginning of the season till the end of the season. 130 points from Willie, 38 goals, 92 assists. Matthews is picking up 127 points, including 72 goals. It was the first line's year. The first line looked incredible. Matthew Nyes, I will say, how were you not at least a point a game? You had 68 points, and you were playing alongside William Nylander and Austin Matthews. Yes, you weren't on the top power play unit, but even still, you have to have at least a point a game with these 2 guys. What are you doing? Joseph Woll, 44 wins, 3 shouts, a 909 to 273. He's looking amazing as well. But can we repeat? The Toronto Maple Leafs are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. Until we're out, the champs are still alive. Let's see what we can accomplish in this run. So we have the New York Rangers in our first round matchup. Just want to point out, a week earlier we lost to this team, but we're going to win game number 1 7-0. Then we're winning game number 2 5-3. The Toronto Maple Leafs aren't looking back. They're just going to keep on winning game after game. Can we start the postseason out with a sweep? It doesn't look like it. We're going to have to move into game number 5 to shut this one down. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. Okay, we got shut out. We were supposed to shut down the Rangers. We got shut out instead. We're not doing this. We are not blowing a 3-0 series lead. Luckily, we're going to close it out. But what are we doing? We were supposed to shut the Rangers down, and we got shut out instead. That is crazy work. We're moving on to our second round matchup, and that's going to see us taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Now, we know the Montreal Canadiens have an elite team. They had a good young team at the beginning of this video. That means all the guys should have developed by now, and they are dominating through the first 2 games. Luckily, we're winning the next 2 after that. We have split the series. Game 5 is going to be an important one, and in overtime, we're going to be showing up when it matters. All we have to do is win one more game, and we're going to be advancing back to the conference finals, and that's what we're doing. We've won 4 straight games. How about we win another 4 in a row? The Philadelphia Flyers are up next, and I can't see us losing to the Philadelphia Flyers. This Toronto Maple Leafs team is absolutely rolling right now, but we did drop game number 1. Luckily, we're going to be winning 3 straight games after that. Let's make it 4 straight and move on to the Stanley Cup final, except we're not going to be doing that. Instead, we'll close out in game number 6, and here we are back in the Stanley Cup final, taking on the Nashville Predators. 4 more victories, and we go back to back. Nah, who could have seen this coming? The Toronto Maple Leafs going back to back, but we haven't done it yet. We have to win 4 games, so let's lock in. We're dropping game number 1. Not a good sign. We are down 3-1 in the series. That's why you can't get ahead of yourself. We're down 3-1 the series. We have to win 3 in a row now. We've been able to win 3 in a row before, so I know for a fact we can do that. At one point, we had a 3-goal lead, but that lead has completely vanished. Can we survive in the third period? It looks like we will be. Matthew Wood did pick up a big goal. Luckily, we're going to be scoring back-to-back goals late in this one, and we're moving on to game number 6. So we were able to survive in game number 5, but we kind of got lucky if we're being honest. So hopefully our luck can continue into this next game. Game 6 is going to be the big one. Who's going to show up when it matters? Well, Steven Stamkos and Patrick Laine are picking up the first 2 goals, but Matthew Knies is going to respond. Moving into the second period, it's going to be a scoreless one. I need Matthews and Nylander to show up for me. I need these guys to pick up some big time goals, and they're just not going to be doing that. The Nashville Predators is going to take us down 4-2. We're not going to be going back to back. Instead, we're losing in the Cup final. Where was Austin Matthews and where was William Nylander when we needed them? Now, Austin Matthews and William Nylander definitely showed up during the postseason. However, they didn't show up in the games when it mattered. In those final 2 games, I don't recall seeing Nylander or Matthews picking up a goal, and those were the games where I needed these guys to score. We're going to be following in the Stanley Cup final. We went on another incredible run, but this run just wasn't enough. And unfortunately, I just can't see the team being the same next season. We're going to be losing a handful of pieces. Kopitar is not going to be returning to the team. Max Domi's not going to be returning to the team. Anders Lee's not going to be returning to the team. Chris Tanev, I don't even know what overall you're going to be. Like, we might be paying you $4.5 million to be a third pairing defenseman. That's not really setting us up for a lot of success. And then Jake McCabe, you're an 82 overall. We're going to have to trade you. We don't have any other choice. Now, the draft's not going to be anything special for us, but we are going to walk away with 1 decent prospect. Medium top 6 potential, 18 years old. He's a 67 overall, 18 goals and 21 helpers last season in juniors. Like, these aren't really that great draft year stats, but you know what? We'll take it. Medium top 6 potential is something I won't complain about. Now, moving into the re-sign phase, we do have $14 million to work with. So if we wanted to bring back some of these players, we could do so. Max Domi, I don't want to give you 6.7 to play bottom 6 minutes for me. Anze Kopitar, if we can do something reasonable, I'll bring you back to the team. And you know what? That's what we're going to do. Kopitar is going to be returning for $2.7 million for the next 2 seasons. He was supposed to be retired a handful of years ago, but I guess he decided to stick around and play for the Leafs. Also, we got to keep Jack Greaves on the team. Like, this is a no-brainer. $850K for the next 2. Now, moving on to next season, we do have to give out some extensions. And I'm interested with Tolvanen. I'm not going to lie. He's up to an 87 overall. He might be replacing John Tavares on the second line because Tavares is looking for way too much money. Tolvanen, he's only looking for $7.3 million, and I think we can make that work. But how about we try to save a little bit of money there? So we'll do $6.9 million for the next 4 seasons. I'll even give you a modified no trade. We'll do a no movement alongside a modified no trade. 36% team protection. Tolvanen, you're going to be a second line player for us in the upcoming season. Johnny T, this is going to be your last season with the team. Matthias Mitchell, you've been an amazing bottom 6 piece, and at $3.6 million, I might keep you on the team. However, we do have this other young playmaker, and he's only looking for $800K. Yeah, we're definitely doing this deal, $950K for the next 2 years. Oh, never mind, he's not a playmaker, he was a sniper. For some reason, I thought he was a playmaker. Never mind, I'm just completely yapping. All right, so we're going to need a new defenseman on the second pairing, and I think that player is going to be Sean Durzi. I'm looking at doing a 4-year deal, maybe even a 5-year deal. I think we're just going to be sticking with 4 years. We'll do 7.3 for the next 4 seasons. It's $1 million more than what he's asking for. However, we're doing a year longer than what he's asking for, so I think this actually works out for us. Sean Durzi, are you going to be accepting immediately? Yes, you are. You're going to be a great player on our second pairing. I'm also going to have a quick conversation with Chris Tanev and see if he's going to be willing to waive his no movement. It doesn't look like he's going to be willing to do so. More than likely what's going to happen is he's going to be a healthy scratch for us, and then halfway through the season, I'm going to talk with him again. Hopefully he's going to be willing to waive then. When it comes to Jake McCabe, we're just going to use Trade Finder, and whatever I get, I'll take here. And more than likely, we're just going to be walking away with a 4th and 5th round pick, but we get to clear up $4.5 million, so I think it's worth it. So with Jake McCabe no longer on the team, we do need a replacement. So 2 4th rounders and a 5th are going to be sent over to the Devils, and we're going to bring in Seamus Casey to fill that role. All right, so Bobby Brink should be a really cheap player we can bring in for the bottom 6. I'll do $1.6 million for the next 2 years. I'm fully expecting him to be accepting that deal. And then we're also going to pick up Holgander, 2.7 for 1 season. He can play some great bottom 6 minutes for me. Now, as the new GM for the Toronto Maple Leafs, standards have been set here, and the new standard is Stanley Cup or bust. We have made it to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and we're looking to make it 3 straight this season. The defense is looking spectacular. The offense looks great. Joseph Falloff is the clear number 1 here. We can't fold in the postseason once again. We have to get another Stanley Cup. Lock in. I need y'all to lock in right now. A 47-14-3 record. We are amazing at everything. Nylander has 100 points at the trade deadline. We're not touching this team. I don't even want to look at goaltending right now. This team is ready for the postseason. I'm not going to stop at the end of the season. We are jumping right into the playoffs. We are not messing this up. I have been staring at my recording software for 5 minutes in utter disbelief. I can't believe what I just did. I didn't have it recording for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I missed the entirety of the postseason. Luckily, none of the series were even close. We smoked everybody. We went 16-4 in the playoffs, but once I realized I wasn't recording, I sat here for 5 minutes contemplating my life, contemplating the decisions I made up until this point. I am heartbroken that we don't get to see this Stanley Cup final together. I'm heartbroken we don't get to see this run. William Nylander, Austin Matthews, Connor McMichael, Tolvanen, y'all were the guys for me. Goaltending, Joseph Wall was a stud. He had an .898 and a .306, but who cares? We missed the postseason run. I don't think that has ever happened before. I have never missed the entire postseason run. I have missed rounds before. I don't think I've ever missed the entire run. Matthews, 17 goals, 19 assists, 36 points. Nylander, 28. Connor McMichael, 25. Now, you might be thinking these are some wild postseason scoring numbers, and you might be wondering, how on earth did you go 16-4 with an .896 and a .325? Well, let me show you what you guys missed, because this team scored goals, and that is all they did from round 1 to the Stanley Cup final. Like, I just want to point this out. We had 1 7-goal game in round number 1. Moving into round number 2, we had 3 7-goal games. So through 2 rounds, we already have 4 7-goal games. Moving into the conference finals, a 9-2 victory and then a 7-4 victory. So in the course of 2 rounds, the second round of the conference finals, we won 4 games, 7-4. But if you're keeping track at home, that is now going to be 6 games where we scored over 7 goals. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final, we scored another 7 goals. In 7 of our postseason victories, we scored 7 goals. We just about scored 7 goals in half of our victories. That's how dominant we were. And that's not even including this 6-goal game right here. We scored 6 goals in game number 3 against the Philadelphia Flyers. There was a handful of games where we scored 5 goals, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are once again Stanley Cup champions. I am just so annoyed we didn't get to witness that run together. I'd like to apologize to all the Toronto Maple Leaf fans. They missed out on an incredible Stanley Cup run. But at the end of the day, whether you were here for the run or not, we have won 2 Stanley Cups in the past 3 years. We have made it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. So what's the plan heading into next season? We're just going to run it back. Now let's just make sure that I don't miss this great prospect that we're going to see in the first round. Zadorov is 65 overall. One guy I'm actually looking at trading for is this guy drafted by the Islanders, starting off as a 76 overall, loadly potential, 2 X factors already. We might have to make that move, and I think we are. I want the Islanders to give me that prospect. Bro is going to turn into an absolute superstar. We need him on the team. And because he has lowly potential, he is not going to have that high of trade value. Like, look at this trade value. We're fleecing them. Like, I'll give you the 64th overall pick, and that might be enough. They're going to be rejecting that deal. How about I give you a 7th rounder as well? Is that going to be enough for the lowly potential player? Yes, it is. So we're fleecing the Islanders. They don't know what they're doing. And then if that lowly potential player we traded for wasn't enough, I'm going to draft one myself. However, he's only a 49 overall, and he has 0 X factors. So yeah, I don't think he has as much hype as the other guy. So John Tavares is set to enter free agency, but we have $11 million, and I am not against a 1-year deal with Johnny T, especially at this price tag right here. John Tavares, welcome back to the team, $5.6 million. Holgander and Matias Maccelli, we might be able to keep you guys around as well. Matias Maccelli's looking for $3 million. I'll give you 3.2. So I don't know how much money that's going to leave us with exactly. We're going to have $4.2 million left. So Holgander, how much do you want? 4.7. I'm likely not going to do that. More than likely, we're going to find a cheap replacement in free agency, and basically the exact same for Tyler Tucker. Unless Tyler Tucker signs for a really cheap deal right now, $2 million, it's not terrible, so I'll actually bring you back. We'll do $1.9 million for 1 year. Tyler Tucker, we're looking to run it back with you once again. Now, with the 2 deals that we made during the re-sign phase, both of them were 1-year deals. So when it comes to handing out these extensions, we should be able to make it happen. Connor McMichael, I am not liking this deal right here. However, it would keep you around for the rest of the video. So if we can get this down a fair amount, I actually wouldn't be against bringing you back to the team. Like, how about we do $10.8 million for the next 7 seasons? 10.8 is a little bit low, so how about we do $11 million for the next 7? Even that might be a little low. $11.2 million with Connor McMichael. He's going to be returning. He's a great second line player, a 91 overall. Alex Tuch, I think we're just going to write your contract. John Tavares, more than likely the exact same thing's going to be done with you. Morgan Riley, we actually might trade you away. You've dropped to an 85 overall. Granted, we have seen a lot of success with you, so maybe we hold on to you for 1 more year. Zachary Bolduc, you're another guy I would love to bring back to the team. So how about we do 3.2 for the next 2 years, 25% team protection. You're going to be returning. Kopitar is likely going to be walking. Bobby Brink's probably going to be walking. We're basically going to be keeping all the important pieces around. So we've made it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals with this team right here. So obviously we're not going to change too much. We basically changed nothing at all. Morgan Riley, you might have dropped to an 83 overall, but that's perfectly fine. You're playing second pairing minutes for me this season. Caden Gooley's going to be taking the top spot. We're looking to replicate the exact same success we've seen for the last 3 years. We know what the expectations are. We know the new standard that's been set. It's Stanley Cup or bust. And because of that, we're not even going to stop at the trade deadline. We know what this team's capable of. I'm going to pause the recording while the season simulates, and I'm going to remember to unpause it once we get to the postseason. If I don't do that, I am giving away $10 million. And joke's on you, I actually unpaused it after the preseason. I'm going to record the entire regular season, so there is no way I mess this up. Sometimes you just got to play chess, not checkers. Except I'm more of a checkers man. I'm not really that big of a fan of chess, so yeah, we're always playing checkers over chess. If everybody's playing chess, that means checkers is more valuable. Just dropping some knowledge for you. Also, we're 8-1, so we're kind of dominating. So the recording is not paused, so there is no way for me to mess this up. The Toronto Maple Leafs, 58 wins this season. Is that going to be enough for the President's Trophy? No, it is not. The Colorado Avalanche are going to finish ahead of us because of overtime losses. I don't care about your OT losses. Austin Matthews, 122 points, 68 goals. He was dominating. William Nylander, 109 points. He was great as well. Matthew Nyes, Connor McMichael, Tolvanen, everyone was locked in this season. And then when it comes to goaltending, Joseph Woll, 46 wins, 6 shots, a 912 and a 253. These numbers I like a lot more than what you did last season. However, last season we didn't have great regular season numbers. You didn't have great postseason numbers either. But somehow that still resulted in us winning a Stanley Cup, so I'm not going to question it. I don't care what Joseph Woll's numbers are. He can allow 1 goal and he can allow 5 goals. As long as he gets me 16 wins, I don't care. Now, after this season, a handful of guys on the Toronto Maple Leafs going to be leaving the team. But you know what? They're going to leave as Stanley Cup champions. We might be dropping game number 1, but of course, we're responding in game 2. We're going to win game 3 as well, and then we're going to win game number 4. We're going to close this series out in game number 5 because that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs do. They win postseason games, said nobody ever, but then Stick on the Ice took over, and now people are talking about how the Toronto Maple Leafs might be building a dynasty. Look what happens when you get an elite GM, and look what happens when that GM is playing a video game and not having any real life things to actually deal with, because our very first trade made absolutely no sense, and then our second trade made absolutely no sense, and then our third trade and fourth trade. But we're not going to question anything. We're just going to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs dominate and watch them be down 3-1 the series against the Montreal Canadiens. That's not what we were looking for. But just because you're down 3-1, that doesn't mean you're eliminated. The Maple Leafs can still make the comeback in this one, and that's what they're doing. They're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. What happened in the second period? What happened to our great team? We lost 5-4 because of the second period. We scored in the first period, we scored in the second period, and we scored in the third period. Montreal only scored during the second. We still lost this game 5-4. No, the fall off has begun. I was talking about how I was an elite GM and how I've completely turned this franchise around. We just lost in the second round to the Montreal Canadiens. Our Stanley Cup streak has come to an end. You hate to see it, but you know what? Sometimes you just need to start a new streak. And I don't know if this makes things better or this makes things worse, but the Dallas Stars are going to be the Stanley Cup champions, not even the Montreal Canadiens. So we didn't even lose to the best team in the NHL. They immediately lost in the conference finals to the Florida Panthers, so we're not even losing to the top team. Austin Matthews, 17 points, and outside of him, no other point of game scorers. Okay, that's what let us down. We just were not scoring goals during the postseason. Goaltending once again wasn't great from Joseph Woll. The main difference this season was the offense. Like, Joseph Woll basically posted these numbers last postseason, and we still won a Stanley Cup because we were scoring goals like crazy. This season, we didn't score goals like crazy, so we lost in the second round. I'm hoping on top of the 41st overall, we can also get another draft pick, maybe a future 4th round pick, and it looks like that's what we're getting. Now, the reason that we're dropping back in the draft is so I can draft this medium league potential player right here. Starting off as a 66 overall, he's going to develop into an absolute stud for us, or at least I think he might. He is 20 years old right now. So we actually might trade this guy. Now, what an elite pickup with the 123rd overall pick. We're bringing in Zibanejad, 18 years old, low elite potential. Truthfully, I think this is better than the medium elite potential player we drafted. And we're going to keep on getting elite potential prospects. We're getting another low elite one, Jimmy Foster. Welcome to the team. Now, we have ourselves a lot of cap space, 27 million. And when it comes to a guy like Alex Tuch, I wouldn't be against bringing him back to the team, but I would want to do a 1-year deal. And I think the only way we can do a 1-year deal is if I give him a no movement. We'll do $6.7 million for 1 season. I highly doubt he's going to be accepting that, but if he does, it helps the team. He's going to be rejecting. Honestly, that's perfectly fine. Alex Tuch, thank you for the amazing seasons, but I guess it's time for us to move on. Matias Maccelli's just going to be looking for way too much money. He's up to an 86 overall. I can't do 5.3 million. Bobby Brink, Colasar, Morgan Riley, we can find replacements for all these guys. Now, it's probably a good thing that we have all that cap space, because now it's time to spend all of it. Matthew Nyes, Caden Gooley, Brandon Carlo, you're going to be taking a majority of that money. Starting off with Matthew Nyes, he wants $13 million. Let's get that down a little bit. I will keep you around for the rest of the rebuild, but not that price tag. How about we do $12 million for the next 7? I think that's a fair deal for you. So Matthew Nyes will be returning. Caden Gooley, you've been on an amazing contract, and now you're our number 1 left defenseman. So it's very important that I keep you on this team. And how much are we going to be looking at? 10.5 million. I think 10.5 is great for both sides. You're locked down for the next 8 years. Caden Gooley, welcome back. And then Brandon Carlo, you are 33 years old, so I don't know how a 3-year deal sounds here. I think I might just write out your contract or potentially even trade you away. So I think this is who Morgan Riley's replacement is going to be. It's going to be Keandre Miller, locked down for the next 3 years at 7.6 million. I think that's going to be a great deal for us, especially considering he's playing second pairing minutes. I'll give up our first round pick, which isn't going to be enough. I'll give you a second as well. We actually might not have to do a second rounder. How about a 3rd and 4th rounder? Is that going to make the difference in this one? It looks like it will be. Okay, now this is actually going to be very interesting. Brandon Carlo and a 2nd round pick for Mo Sider, who's currently on the trade block. We'll definitely be able to bring Mo Sider back. We have more than enough money to do so. I think this is an amazing deal for us. We just got 2 big upgrades to the defense. Now, this is exactly why we traded for Mo Sider. What an incredible deal. $7.8 million for the next 4 years. That's a no-brainer. Now, we're going to sign a couple guys for the bottom 6. Keegan Colasar, I didn't plan on bringing you back to the team, but I will at 1.1 million. Cole Sillinger, you can be another great guy for the bottom 6. Here's 2.8 million. Ross Colton's another guy that's looking for absolutely no money. So here's 1.1 for next season. That's a steal. And hold on, Callum Ritchie's available in free agency. Yeah, I'll definitely do 2.2 million. Now, I do believe we have to bring in 1 defenseman. So how about we bring this 80 overall that's only looking for 800K? That works for me. Now, we still have 12.2 million. And you know what? what? I can't pass up on this deal right here. Burakovsky, welcome to the team. 4.2 million. You're going to play some great minutes for me. And then Jake Neighbors, I actually don't hate this deal. Can we do 3.3 for the next 2 seasons? I would love to bring you to the team. So Jake Neighbors is going to be accepting the contract, and we're ready to roll now. Now we're going to be changing the top 6 slightly. The first line is going to look the exact same, but Tolvanen, Zachary Bolduc, and Connor McMichael, y'all are going to be holding it down the second line. You're going to be our new second line. Do I want Connor McMichael playing in a secondary position though? No, I do not. Zachary Bolduc, I know you can play wing. I've seen you do it before. So I'm going to have you play some left wing minutes this season. When it comes to the defense, this is looking spectacular, and we know what Joseph Woll can do for us. He's won us a couple Stanley Cups in the past. Let's go get another. Now, even after there were some changes over the offseason, Toronto Maple Leafs are still going to be first with a 54-20-8 record. The offense is looking great. The defense is very questionable. We're allowing over 3 goals per game. We ride by this team's offense. The offense is what has to step up for us, because if our offense doesn't step up, we don't stand a chance. Plain and simple. Joseph Woll, 40 wins, a 900 save percentage, and 299 goals against. That is not good enough. Those are not Stanley Cup numbers, even though we've won a Stanley Cup with those numbers before. We're not going to worry about that. We have the Red Wings in the first round. How about we just improve the defense moving into the postseason? I think that's a great idea. I think that is an absolutely fantastic idea. Improve the defense right before the postseason. Let's just start playing some defensive hockey. I think that's a recipe for success. We're winning the first 2 games. We've been pretty solid defensively through the first 2. In game number 3, we're allowing 5 goals. Not what I'm looking for, but we do have a 3-1 series lead. How about we close out in game number 5 and move on to the second round, because I don't want to go to game 6 and we don't have to worry about it. We're taking down the Red Wings in a 5-game series, and we're looking to build on this momentum, but we're definitely going to have our hands full in the second round. The Montreal Canadiens, once again, I'm not looking to fold to Montreal. We have to take them down this time. We have to get our get back against the Montreal Canadiens. We dropped the first 2 games, not ideal. The first 3, we got swept. We're moving on. This didn't happen. I think the crazy thing is about that Montreal series is I can't even say we were terrible defensively. I also want to point out Montreal went 16-2 and they swept the first 3 rounds. That team was on something. They were absolutely rolling. I don't really care too much about our numbers. I want to go look at Montreal's numbers because they must have been dominating. I don't know who their starting goaltender is. Monteboldt, 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 921, a 250. These numbers aren't as crazy as I thought they would be. I was thinking like a 940 and a 190, but we're going to be falling in the second round for the second year in a row. This can't continue. Now, I thought this was going to be a disappointing draft for us, but luckily we are going to walk away with 1 low league potential player, because why wouldn't we find a low league potential player during the draft? So I think more than likely almost everyone here is going to be walking, and we'll bring in cheap replacements. Burakovsky, I don't think you can be signed for $1 million, so we're probably going to be losing you. Cole Sillinger, I don't know how cheap your contract's going to be. 3.2 million. Yeah, we can't do that. Let's just make things simple. Everyone's walking and we'll find some cheap replacements. I mean, Brendan Bryson can definitely come to the team for $900K. That is a reasonable enough deal. You can play some 4th line minutes. Also, we can bring this lowly potential player to the team. He's a 78 overall. Yeah, maybe that's not the greatest for the 4th line, but let's give him an opportunity. We also have this 77 overall who has lowly potential. We'll sign him to his entry level contract. I think we'll likely give him 1 year to develop. Now, the team might be in trouble. William Nylander is not interested in extending with the team. How much money is he looking for? $18 million for the next 2. If we were to keep him around, we're looking at $18 million. I don't think I can do that, so I think you're going to be walking. Sean Durzi, how much is your extension going to be looking like? $10.8 million. Right now, you're a second pairing guy, and I don't really want to do that, so we might trade you away. Same with Zachary Bolduc. He's not interested in re-signing with the team. He wants $9.6 million. I feel like we can go find a cheaper option. Also, Zibanejad, you're up to an 80 overall. I think it's time for you to jump to the lineup. Now, I think I found out what we're going to do with Sean Durzi. I'm going to send him over to the Islanders. McDonald and Aitchison is going to be brought in. 2 guys that can play some great minutes for me, but Bruce McDonald is an 84 overall with medium league potential. If we play him on the second pairing, he's definitely going to develop. I think we're walking away with 2 amazing players. Now, Zachary Bolduc, I want to thank you for the great seasons you've played with the team. You've been a stud for us, but we have to move on just because I can't afford to keep you on the team. Jackson Eiserman, you're going to be brought in. You're going to be an elite sniper on our second line. Lilleberg, I'm going to bring you in to play some 3rd pairing minutes. If we can't walk away with Lilleberg, it's not the end of the world. I can find a replacement for him. But Zachary Bolduc, 1 for 1 for Eiserman. I think this is an amazing deal. Pittsburgh's not going to be accepting, and I can't really blame them. I think Eiserman's going to turn out to be an absolute superstar. I'll throw a second rounder into this deal, and that should be enough. Now, though we picked up Yzerman, we still have to give him an extension, and I don't know what his extension is going to be looking like. Hopefully, it's going to be something reasonable, and this is more than reasonable. Yzerman, welcome back to the team. Here's $5 million for the next 4. Okay, this is an absolute no-brainer. Carson Ambos, $1.8 million for the next 3 seasons. I can't turn that deal down. Also, Blankenberg, I guess I'm going to bring you in $1.2 million. Now, we're going to be left with a little bit of money, so we can make some other moves if we wanted to. And one of those moves might be bringing in Jake Getzel. $6.7 million for 1 season. Yeah, Jake Getzel is definitely going to be joining the team. And then outside Jake Getzel, I would like to make one more signing, probably bringing in another winger. And you know what? When in doubt, Mason Appleton, $2 million for 1 season. Welcome to Toronto. All right, so moving into this season, I could highlight our top 6, but I'm actually not going to do that. Zibanejad is up to an 82 overall with low elite potential. Where did we draft this man? 123rd overall. And then we have Rudolph on the 4th line. We drafted this man 171st overall in 2026. Both these guys are going to be jumping into the NHL. They're both on some amazing contracts, and both of them are going to play incredibly important roles in our success. When it comes to the defense, that's still looking really solid. Goaltending is what it is. Joseph Woll, you might have dropped 1 overall, but I'm going to have faith in you for at least 1 more season. Joseph Woll has won with us before. I believe he can win again. All right, I'm going to keep it a stack. This is a Mickey Mouse President's Trophy for the Detroit Red Wings. The only reason they're winning it is because of 14 losses in overtime. Yeah, we're not counting that. The Maple Leafs are the best team in the entire league. We won 55 games. Matthews picked up 120 points. I want to keep Nylander on this team bad, but I can't do 18 million. That's just not going to happen. Also, shout out to Jake Getzel, 65 points. He's playing bomb 6 minutes for me, and he's still showing up. Joseph Woll, 36 wins, 2 shutouts, a 900 save percentage, and 297 goals against. I need these numbers to be better in the postseason. We got lucky once with these numbers. We're not going to get lucky again. Now, we're going to have the Buffalo Sabres in the first round, but I'm not too worried about Buffalo. I'm more worried about Montreal in the second because that's who we're going to take on. But you know what? I shouldn't be too confident with this team. Let's take it 1 game at a time with the Buffalo Sabres. Like, we need to make sure that we can get past the Sabres. We're going to win game number 1 4-1. We're winning game 2 4-3. We're off to a great start. How about we win game 3 as well? Are we going to be doing that? It looks like we will be. Can we sweep the Buffalo Sabres? I guess a sweep is too much to be asking for. Let's just win game number 5 and move on because we're not blowing a 3-0 series lead. So we're moving on to the second round, and who could have seen this coming? The wild card Montreal Canadiens taking down the Detroit Red Wings. Now it's time for us to beat Montreal. We can finally get our get back, but maybe not. Okay, we have a 3-1 series lead. I think we're good now. We just need to win 1 more game, and I think we should be able to do that, and that's what we're going to do in game number 5. So we're moving on to the conference finals. We haven't been here in a while. It's time for Toronto to get another Stanley Cup. So we have the Philadelphia Flyers up next. I feel like we're undefeated against the Philadelphia Flyers in the conference finals, but I could be completely wrong. We're winning game number 1. We're dropping back-to-back games after that, but responding in game 4. So game 5 is the most important one. Can we win it? Yes, we can. So we're 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final, and now we're there. We have the Dallas Stars in the Cup final. It wasn't too long ago that this team won the Stanley Cup, but this time they're not going to be winning. The Maple Leafs are going to get past them. So it all comes down to this best-of-7 series against the Dallas Stars. We're winning game number 1, we're winning game 3, and we're winning game 4. So we're 1 game away from hoisting the Stanley Cup. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I just double-checked to make sure I was recording, and I'm happy that I double-checked. I was recording, but in the event I wasn't, I was prepared. I mean, I wasn't really prepared because I simulated all the way up to like basically game number 4 of the Stanley Cup final. So you would have only seen these 2 games right there. Luckily, one of them was the Stanley Cup winning game, and that's going to be us taking it home 3-2 in game 6. So we've won another Stanley Cup, the 3rd of the video, and look at William Nylander's numbers. I have to find a way to keep him on the team. I can't walk away from Willie quite yet. Bro has been dominating. I don't care if he's 36 years old. We're going to find a way to keep him on this team. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we have to find a way. Also, Joseph Woll, 16 wins, a 922 and a 249. I was thinking about trading you when I saw you regressing overall, but now that I saw you win this Stanley Cup, I'm not going to be doing that. No, but real talk, Willie, how much would it take to keep you on this team? You're still not interested in extending with the team. That's fine. How much money do you want? 18 million for 1 season. I can do that. I can do 18 million for 1 year because I'll give you a no movement. We should be able to do like $17 million. Okay, we can 1000% get this done with a no movement, and we might be saving a ton of money. 15.7 million for 1 season. William Nylander, welcome back to the team. All right, I think we might have just gotten a steal with the 32nd pick in the first round. We might be walking away with a guy who is 1 year away. I don't know if I would say he's 1 year away, but I'll take Sylvester, a 73 overall. He's got one X factor so far. He could be jumping into the lineup pretty quick. I don't know if I would say he's 1 season away though, maybe 2. Okay, this was the greatest draft pick in NHL history, a medium league potential player. I'm going to show you an example of what this man's scouting was. He had very inaccurate scouting, but he was a gem. I saw he was a gem, so I was like, you know what, I'll take the risk on him. I don't really care what his overall is, especially if he's a gem. He had medium top 9 potential, so basically this player right here, except he was a gem. No, we got so lucky there. We should not have gotten that prospect. Now, we might be finishing this draft off with a couple elite potential players. We're going to be starting with Postma, 60 overall, low elite potential. But I don't think he's going to be the last low elite potential player we get, because with the very last pick in the draft, we have ourselves a gem here that might have low elite potential. Is that going to be the case? Yes, it is. So a low elite potential with the final pick in the draft, I'll certainly take that. Now, I'm going to keep it a stack. I don't think we're bringing any of these guys back. Maybe Easton Cowan, because we might be able to sign him to a 2-way contract. But Jake Getzel's 100% not coming back to the team. Like, how much money are you looking for? 8.8 million. We can't do that when I need to fill out a bottom 6. Callum Ritchie, maybe I can keep you on this team. And 2.5 million is not crazy for you, so that's what I'll give you. Also, Jack Reeves, you're bugging. I don't know who's going to pay you that, but you can go get that somewhere. Meanwhile, when it comes to Dennis, 1.2 million, I guess I can do it. All right, things might get a little bit expensive here. McDonald's looking for an extension. I'm assuming he wants a bag. This bag is not nearly as much as it should be. Here is 7.3 for the next 5 years. He's going to be sticking around. Keandre Miller, how much are you looking for? 8.8. Honestly, we can probably do this. And you know what? We're actually going to get this way cheaper than expected. 7.5 for the next 3 years. That's an amazing deal for Keandre Miller. Less money than what he's getting paid right now. Tolvanen, I'm going to keep it a stack. I think you're likely going to be walking here. You're 33 years old. You want 8.3 million. I can't do that. Rudolph, how much do you want to re-sign with the team? I can probably do something reasonable, and this is reasonable. We'll do a 2-year extension at $3 million. That'll keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. Yeah, we're building something special here. Aitchison, how much are you looking for? 3.5? You're a third pairing guy, so I don't really want to give you that much, so I think you're going to walk. Now, we need to bring in 2 players for the bottom 6. Keegan Colasar, I'm looking at you. Yes, you're 35 years old, but you know what the Toronto Maple Leafs new culture is. So here's 1.6 million for 1 season. You can play some good minutes for me, and then we need to bring in 1 left winger. And Arturi Lehkonen, maybe you can be that guy. I actually don't want to do Arturi Lehkonen. I'm going to pass up on him, and instead, who are we going to go with? Kiviranta, that wouldn't be that bad. Jordan Greenway also wouldn't be that bad. But I think we're going to go with this young 27-year-old. He's an 82 overall. I can give him 2.6 million. I think we need a bit more youth on the bottom 6. Granted, our team is very young outside the top 6. Like, our bottom 6 is very young. So yeah, I don't think we actually need more youth. I think the average age on our bottom 6 right now might be like 23. So I think I might just be yapping. So the Maple Leafs are coming off a Stanley Cup, and this is what the young core is going to be looking like. We have 2 21-year-olds and a 24-year-old on the third line. Yeah, our bottom 6 is incredibly young. Our top 6, on the other hand, some of these guys are getting very close to retirement. But you know what? I don't care if they're close to retirement or not. They've been dominating. Joseph Woll, I don't care if you dropped to an 83 overall. You dominated in the postseason last year. You are a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. You still have a couple more good years left in you. We have 3 Stanley Cups in the video, 3 more years left. I think we have to finish with at least 5 Stanley Cups. 5 cups in 10 years, I'll definitely take that. Now, since I took over as GM, I have changed the culture for this team. I have changed the expectations. It's Stanley Cup or bust every year. Over 4 goals a game, 2.6 allowed. We don't mess around anymore. The Toronto Maple Leafs are the best team in the NHL. We were flying from top to bottom. 4-point-a-game guys. Connor McMichael's picking up 91 points. 0 weaknesses. Everyone knows their role. Everyone knows what they have to do. So let's go back to back. We're taking on the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. It's only a matter of time before we take on the Montreal Canadiens, and then we'll probably see Philly in the conference finals. We know how this works. We have been here before and we have seen this before, but once again, we can't take the Buffalo Sabres lightly. These guys will put pressure on us. We're winning game number 1 in overtime. Moving into game number 2, we're winning that one 7-3. It looks like the offense has woken up, and I don't think it's going to disappear now. We are absolutely flying. A sweep over the Buffalo Sabres, and we're moving on to the second round. And who are we going to see in the second round? The Montreal Canadiens. We already know this. We know for a fact we're going to see the Montreal Canadiens. Where is this team? Never mind. No, we will not. Instead, we have the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I was not ready for the Red Wings, so we might not be prepared. We might not be ready for this Detroit Red Wings team, but we're going to win game 1 and game 2. I was hoping for multiple sweeps, but that's not going to be happening because we're dropping back-to-back games after winning the first 2. How about we respond in game number 5? And that's exactly what's happening. We're picking up 5 in game number 5. Now it's time to pick up 6 in game 6 and move on to the conference finals. It's not quite 6 goals, but I'll definitely take a 2-1 victory. So we're advancing to the conference finals, and we're going to see the New Jersey Devils. We're 4 games away from making it back to the Stanley Cup final, and Toronto is looking to repeat. However, we might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We dropped the first 2, but we're responding in the next 2 after that, and we're going to be responding in the next 3 because we're going to win game number 5, and then we're going to close this out in game 6 and make it back to the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that simple though. It was a devastating loss in game 6. We're losing that one 7-6, and now we have game 7. We have game 7 coming up between the New Jersey Devils and Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a must win for us, and we're picking up goals in the first period. However, so are the Devils, so we can't sleep on them moving into the second. They're looking to continue scoring. We still have a 1-goal lead, but I'm not sure if 1 goal is going to be enough, so we better double down the third, and that's what we're doing. Another 3 goals in the third period. We're back in the Stanley Cup final for the second year in a row. So we were able to close that one out in game number 7, but now we have to win a couple more games. 4 more games to be exact. We take down the Winnipeg Jets and be back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Well, we better be ready, because if Winnipeg made it to the Cup final, then they're no joke. They're going to put some pressure on us, and they're definitely doing that so far. We've been exchanging games through the first 4, so it's a best of 3 moving forward, with game number 5 being the most important, and we're going to shut them out. Joseph Woll is an absolute dog. Can he do it again in game 6? It doesn't look like it. Game 7 for the Stanley Cup. The Winnipeg Jets and Toronto Maple Leafs, 2 Canadian teams. Who's going to be taking it home? Well, it better be the Toronto Maple Leafs. Robert Thomas is now on Winnipeg? Nah, ain't no way. We are not doing this. You joined the Ops? No, I don't care if we win the Stanley Cup. I don't care whatsoever. We're losing 3-1. Robert Thomas joined the Ops. I don't even care about the Stanley Cup. No cares in the world about the Stanley Cup. Robert Thomas joined the Ops. This video went from me rebuilding the Toronto Maple Leafs to me being heartbroken that Robert Thomas joined the Ops. How could he do this to me? The offense was great. Yeah, I'm so happy about that. Goaltending, yeah, it looked pretty solid as well. Robert Thomas joined the Ops. How could you do this? And we lost to Jet Greaves. No way. There is no way that just happened. And Robert Thomas had 34 points. He's a 90 overall. What did he do during the regular season? He wasn't even a point a game. He picked up 106 last season. Everything about this season was terrible. I'm ignoring all the good things that happened up until this point. Everything has been ruined because of Jet Greaves and Robert Thomas. Okay, this is a very interesting draft pick. We have inaccurate scouting on this player. However, they're NHL ready and they might have an X factor. So although it says he's going to have medium top 9 potential, we're going to select him in the first round. 78 overall, medium top 6. That was definitely worth it. But in reality, that doesn't make up for what happened in the postseason. We lost to the Ops, and Robert Thomas joined the Ops. It's just not right. Okay, this makes things a little bit better. We got a mediumly potential player, but even still, it doesn't make up for it. Okay, based on what has happened in the past, is it possible for us to get another mediumly potential player, even though we have no scouting on this guy? Lowly potential gem. No, the drafting in this video has been a little bit ridiculous. Now we're entering the final 2 seasons, and like usual, I want to run the exact same team for the final 2. So William Nylander, can you help me? If we did multiple years, how much are you looking for? 12.7. We have $23 million in cap space. I think there is a possibility we can get this done. William Nylander needs to stick around for the rest of the video. We'll do 11.7 million for the next 2. Is Willie going to accept that? Yes, he is. He's going to be staying with the team until he's 39 years old. Everybody else, they're all going to be walking, and we'll find really cheap replacements. Alright, so if we're going to run the same team for the final 2 years, we do have to hand out some extensions. Filatov, I'm looking to bring you back, and at this price, it's a no-brainer. Here's 2.5 for the next 2. Zibanejad, I'm hoping we can basically do the exact same with you. You want 3.7. Considering we have $20 million in cap space, I can do this. We'll do 3.5 for the next couple years. You can stick around as well. And then we also have this 79 overall that can jump into the lineup. He can play some third pairing minutes for me. He's going to be a great addition. Also, Joseph Woll, do I trade you away? Like, you're starting to regress on me. You're an 82 overall at 34 years old. We're going to make the wrong decision. And Joseph Wall, you will return for a couple more seasons. I don't care if you're 34 years old, you're winning Stanley Cups with the team, and I want to keep you on this team. Now, we've drafted a handful of medium league potential players in the past, and those guys have value, so we're going to utilize that. Menard in a second round pick is going to be sent over to Nashville. Bennon's going to be brought in, medium league potential. I think he's going to be a great playmaker, likely going to play second line minutes for me. It's not going to take too much more for us to get this done. Maybe a third round pick. At the end of the day, I could just throw in multiple first rounders, or even just multiple second round picks. We'll get this done eventually. They want a 7th round pick, and I'll definitely give you that. So this is the package that we're going to send over to Nashville. They're accepting. We're getting an elite playmaker who's on his entry-level deal. We're in a great spot. Now, with one of our other medium-league potential players being Burke Coles, the man that we just drafted, I'm going to send him over to the San Jose Sharks. We're going to bring in Reed Nicole, 86 overall, medium top 6 potential, but he's looking like an absolute star right now. We're also going to get a 3rd round pick back in the deal. If I'm being completely honest, I do not care about the 3rd round pick. I don't even care about throwing more into this deal. I'll give you 3rd round picks. Here's 2 3rd round picks on top of the medium-league potential player. They're still saying no to that. I'll give you 2 4th round picks as well. 2 3rds and 2 4ths. This is going to be more than enough to get this deal done. That's another nice upgrade to the team. Now, we do need to bring in a 3rd pairing defenseman, and Oberg, you can definitely be that guy. 1.3 for the next 2 seasons. That's a really cheap deal. And then we need to bring in a backup goaltender. But once we do this, we have our team for the next 2 years. And you know what? This is going to be really simple. Walker Kwong, welcome to the team. 1.4 for the next 2 seasons. You're 23 years old, medium star potential. I have no clue who drafted you, but they definitely should have gave you your qualifying offer. Also, we actually do have enough money to make one more free agent signing. So Jimmy Snuggerud, welcome to the team. If you're willing to accept that, there is a chance that you don't accept it. And you know what? Jimmy Snuggerud's joined the team for the next 2 seasons. We're officially ready for the final 2 seasons. Now, although our top 6 is getting up there in age, I believe in what we have here. These guys have won us multiple Stanley Cups, and over the next 2 seasons, I don't see why we can't bring home at least 2 more. We have 390 overalls when it comes to the defense. Yes, Joseph Wall has dropped to an 81 overall, and maybe he shouldn't be the starter anymore. But at the end of the day, if Kwong has to step up, he will for us. He's an 81 overall, medium star potential. He might be taking over next season, but whether he's the starter or the backup, this is our goaltending tandem. So in our second final season, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to win another President's Trophy, a 59, 18, and 5 record. The boys were flying. William Nylander had another incredible season, 57 goals, 67 helpers, 124 points. Matthews 122, Matthew Nyes 103. The top line is elite. Our entire team is elite. Joseph Wall is the starter for the postseason. This man's going to pick us up one more. We have the Red Wings in the first round. We all know what the Toronto Maple Leafs are capable of, so let's show up one more time. Like, we are well aware of what this Toronto Maple Leafs team can do. We know this team can win Stanley Cups because they've done it in the past, so how about we do it again? We're winning the first 2 games, and we've dominated the first 2. 10 goals in the first 2 games. Yeah, we're scoring the puck right now. And are we going to sweep the Red Wings? No, Toronto's not messing around anymore. All this franchise needed was a GM like stick on the ice, and look what happened once they got that GM. They started seeing success, but that success has to continue. We're moving into the second round against the Ottawa Senators. We have to take the Senators down in order to move on to the conference finals, so let's take this one game at a time. Back-to-back shutouts is crazy work. Yeah, we're 8-0 so far in the postseason. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop us if we continue to play like this. We have the New Jersey Devils up next. Just do exactly what you've done in the previous 2 rounds and we'll be all right. Like, we are yet to lose a game, so we're not going to start losing now. Are we going to go 16-0? Okay, we're not going 16-0, but we did start the postseason 11-1, and now we're 11-2. Do not make it 11-3. We don't have to worry about that. We're back in the Cup final. The Dallas Stars are the last team in front of us. Give me 4 more wins. Now, like, we really started the postseason 11-1, and then we made 11-2. Why'd we have to do that? Why couldn't we just go 12-0 and then make that 16-0? We're winning the first 2 games against the Dallas Stars. We've won 3 of the first 4. One more victory and we're Stanley Cup champions, but we have to close this out in one of the next couple games, and that's what we're doing. The Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup champions once again. Year 10 is around the corner, and that means one more cup for the boys. I mean, it's one more cup as long as nobody retires. Willie, you can't retire on me. Matthews, you can't retire on me. The rest of the team looks amazing. Joseph Wall has done it again. 16 wins, 2 shouts, a 926 and a 222. I had questions about this man, but you know what? He silenced the haters. We're heading into year number 10 with the Maple Leafs. We're going to get one more cup, I know for a fact. Okay, this is actually the worst thing that could have happened. Craig Berube retired on me. We're running the final season without Craig Berube. We have built this entire team around Craig Berube. We could be in trouble. So it's our final season with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have seen a lot of success in this video. 4 Stanley Cups in the past 9 years, but now it's time to get 5 in the last 10. Also, I want to point out this guy's jumping into the lineup. He's an 84 overall, low league potential. We drafted him 160th overall. Yeah, welcome to the lineup. I'm perfectly fine with having you here. Meanwhile, when it comes to goaltending, Kwong, I guess you're going to be the guy for us. Joseph Wall is only an 80 overall, but maybe we just start Joseph Wall in the postseason. Maybe when the lights are the brightest, we turn to Wall. He can rest the entire season, but once the playoffs come around, he might be the starter. So it's time for the final season, year number 10. The Toronto Maple Leafs, first in the entire league, a 57-16-9 record. The offense is looking great. The goaltending is looking great. William Nylander is still looking great. Austin Matthews is still looking great. Even though these guys are 37 and 38 years old respectively, they've been absolutely dominating. Connor McMichael only 66 points. He's 34 years old. He's been an absolute dog since we acquired him. And then when it comes to goaltending, it looks like Kwong's going to be taking over. 44 wins, 5 shots, a 910 and a 254. Although Joseph Wall has been our guy since the very beginning, I think we're going with Kwong. Kwong was the man this season. He stepped up when we needed him to, and we're going to run him for the postseason. I might regret this move in a matter of minutes, but I don't think I will. We have great offense, great defense, great goaltending. Anyone can win with us. So here we go, the final postseason run, starting off against the Boston Bruins. I feel like that's the perfect way to end it. We have to take on the Boston Bruins at least once in the postseason here. We're beating them in game number 1, and we're going to beat them again in game number 2. This Toronto Maple Leafs team has been really solid in every postseason run, and that is very surprising. Well, except for one, because we did get swept one time. Outside of that one postseason run, we have been really good the entire video, and that is very surprising. So we're moving on to the second round. We're going to see the Ottawa Senators. Could we start off the postseason 8-0 once again? We would have to sweep the Ottawa Senators, and I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to do that. And it doesn't look like it's going to be happening, as we're going to be dropping game number 3. We do have a 3-1 series lead, though, so we can close this out in game number 5, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're moving on to the conference finals. Can the Toronto Maple Leafs go back-to-back to finish this video off? 5 Stanley Cups in a 10-year period. That would be utter domination from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we might see it. We have ourselves a 3-1 series lead once again. Let's close out in game number 5. We're going to be dropping game 5. Let's close out in game 6. I don't want to go to game 7, and we don't have to worry about it. We're advancing to the Stanley Cup final, and it looks like we're going to have the Minnesota Wild. One team left to beat. One more team to take down, and we've won 5 Stanley Cups in a 10-year period. So let's lock in. One more incredible series from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's what we're getting. A sweep over the Minnesota Wild, 5 Stanley Cups in 10 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This might be my most successful rebuild of all time. Nah, that is crazy work right there. 5 Stanley Cups in a 10-year period with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I rarely see success like that. Matthews, Nylander, McMichael, Matthew Nyes, from top to bottom, everyone stepped up for me. When it comes to goaltending, Kwong 16-2-1. That was his record. A 910 and a 268. The Toronto Maple Leafs have accomplished some incredible things in this video. Not only did they end their Stanley Cup drought by winning 1 cup, but then they won 2, then they won 3, then they won 4, and then they finished it off by repeating in year 10 for their 5th Stanley Cup. Realistically, in this rebuild, I was hoping to win 2 or 3 Stanley Cups if I was lucky. We won 5 in 10 years. Nah, we were really like that.